All right, guys, today we're going to be going over every single setting in the game, including the brand new ones, in order to help you compete at a high level. All right, so I will be going over what every single new setting does, so you guys aren't confused as to why I'm doing certain things. Now, for your control settings, there's absolutely no hitting interface that you should be using besides zone hitting. Now, there are two new hitting interfaces that were introduced with this game. That includes fixed zone and big zone. So what fixed zone actually does is whenever you move your PCI, it does not return to the center. This is absolutely, I'm sorry, but this is a horrible idea. I don't know who came up with this. So let's say you have a curveball that starts way up here, right? And you're trying to track it with your PCI, and suddenly on the higher difficulties, it just drops all the way down to the bottom of your strike zone. Even if you have your PCI sensitivity all the way up, you're going to have to wait for your PCI to travel all the way down there in order to hit that. And you have a split-second reaction timing when it comes to Hall of Fame and Legend difficulty. Absolutely horrible. Do not equip this setting, please, for your own sake. Now, for big zone hitting, it's basically just another form of directional, except you have more options to choose from. You will never be as good as you possibly can at the game with any form of directional hitting because you have no PCI. So even if you pick the correct zone and you time it up perfectly, you're relying on RNG to control where that ball goes. That's why I just recommend zone. You have complete freedom of movement. You have no RNG when it comes to the ball. You should absolutely not be using anything else but this. Now, moving past that, PCI sensitivity, a brand new setting in the game that, you know, everybody kind of had a lot of hope for, and it's for a good reason. This setting is amazing. If you are playing, you know, without control freaks, without precision rings, this allows you to have control over your stick now. So essentially what a lot of MLB The Show players do, they get jumpy, they get happy when they see, you know, a pitch right down the middle, they slam their PCI to the ground. This isn't going to absolutely correct you from doing that, but if you turn your sensitivity down, it's going to be a lot harder for you to slam it all the way to the dirt. Or, you know, if you feel like you're pretty comfortable and you don't really slam your PCI, you can crank your PCI up so you can get to the faster pitches or the movement of a pitch at a more efficient rate. This is just kind of a setting that is going to be, you know, kind of a personal preference for everyone. My PCI sensitivity might not work for you. Your PCI sensitivity might not work for me. I have mine literally cranked all the way up, but I am using control freaks and precision rings. I found that so far this is what has worked best for me. You know, maybe I'll tweak it here and there in the future, but for now this is where I'm staying. Now, moving on to PCI. If you are a brand new player and you just equipped zone hitting because I told you to, you're definitely going to want your PCI on. Your PCI settings, this is another thing that's just mainly going to be personal preference. I use diamonds and basic inner with outer off just because it looks the cleanest to me. It's the easiest for me to, you know, visualize and see. I know a lot of people like the bat. I use this sometimes when I'm in a slump. You know, sometimes changing your PCI in a slump can get you out of a slump. It really makes no sense, but you know, just having that different visual representation, sometimes it just hits different. While the visualization of it doesn't really matter all too much, I really only recommend you use two PCI colors, which is yellow and then cyan, maybe white sometimes. The reason I recommend those is just because those are the clearest ones to see without really distracting your eyes too much. For your PCI opacity, I recommend it somewhere a little bit past halfway. If you go too transparent, it's sometimes really hard to know where your PCI is actually at. And if you go too opaque, then sometimes you can't even see the ball. Now for PCI fade out, I recommend you just keep this on none. Unless you're running an outer PCI indicator, then I would fade out your outer. All this does is essentially fade your PCI as the ball is being delivered. Now PCI anchor. Last year they introduced, you know, preset PCI anchors, and I loved it. I keep all of my anchors at, you know, top middle because I struggle sometimes to get my PCI up. So if my stick is not even touched, if it's literally right in the center, so all I have to do, you know, if my stick's low in the zone, is let go of the stick and I'm at the top of the zone. That's just how I prefer it. Now, if you don't struggle hitting high pitches whatsoever, then, you know, maybe you struggle hitting low and away pitches and you can get everywhere else in the zone from there. It's really just something you have to get a feel for, because I'm at the point now where I've used top center presets for so long that if I even tried to switch back to center, it would be a whole different learning curve for me, because I'm just so used to always having my PCI go right back to top center. Anchor dots, you don't really need these on. If you press your left stick in the direction you want your PCI anchored, it's going to stay there regardless. Guess pitch, you want this off. You're never going to use this competitively because it's not a thing. So swing input, you definitely want buttons, and you pretty much always want to be using a normal swing, which would be X on PlayStation or A on Xbox. I say this because power swing, you know, while it sounds really cool and it sounds like you're going to hit the ball 500 feet, the amount of PCI shrinkage you get from using a power swing and the benefits that come along with it do not weigh out each other. You know, using a normal swing, you perfect square fly ball up with somebody that has some pop, it's going to be a home run every time regardless. You don't need to power swing at all. Contact swing can be used in some situations. If you're really struggling to hit the ball, you just want to foul some pitches off, it's a crunch time situation, sometimes contact swing's okay. Base running interface, you absolutely want on analog select. This allows you to select whoever you want to on the bases and tell them to go to any specific base you want. Player lock, you'll never use this competitively. I don't really play a lot of Road to the Show, so this isn't really a setting I'm going to cover. Auto base running and auto sliding, turn these off. You want to have complete control over your team if you want to be competitive. Auto sliding, you might not think this matters at all because, you know, they're going to slide into the base regardless. What a lot of people might not know is that you can actually choose the direction that your player is going to slide in. So for instance, if I have somebody running to second base and the ball's coming in from right field, I don't want to slide to the right of the bag. I want to slide to the left. And you can do that literally by just flicking your right stick up to the left, like it is. Now you can control your slides. Pitching interface. You know, this has got a lot of speculation around it since pinpoint came out, because pinpoint's hard. It's not that hard. Once you get used to it, you play with it for, you know, a couple days, not even really, a couple hours maybe. Everything is just so much better. Your pitches are much more accurate. Obviously, there's still the RNG for pitchers that aren't accurate. It's amazing. It's the best pitching interface in the game by far. It's not close. Pitching ball marker, keep this on Chevron. Fixed pitch location. This is basically like the fixed zone I showed you earlier, just for pitching. So, I mean, if you want to turn it on, it's not going to hinder your gameplay whatsoever. I just prefer my pitch, like if I let go of the left stick, I prefer it to snap back to the center because that's what I'm used to with zone. Pitcher delivery, this is huge. Like, not really, but like it kind of is. So when you're offline grinding in Diamond Dynasty or, you know, whatever, and you're playing a conquest game and you don't want the conquest game to take you 30 minutes, you can now switch your pitcher delivery to stretch only. So he's not going to throw from the windup. You're not going to have Cy Young on the mound 45 seconds in between the pitch because his windup's 42 of those. You can set him to only deliver from the stretch, and your games will go so much faster. Your offline grinding will go so much smoother. You're not going to have any sort of headaches from this. It's going to be, you know, fantastic. It already has been. Pitch comm. Why? They chose to add pitch comm to the game. If you're confused on what pitches to throw and when, check back here in like a day or two, and I'll have a pitching tutorial up for you. Or go check my one from 2 years ago. It'll get you right. Obviously, if you don't have pitch comm on, the audio output doesn't matter. Fielding, throwing interface, button accuracy, 100%. I'm not even going to cover the other ones because this is the only one you should even be thinking about. Like I said, player lock, fielder perspective, not a Road to the Show guy. Throw canceling, you absolutely want this on. This allows you to, basically, if you make a bad throw, like you throw in the red, then you can switch where you want to go with the ball mid-throw. So basically, let's say I'm going to second base and I press and hold triangle too long and it's red. I can now switch that immediately to my cutoff man. I can cancel the throw, so he'll do basically a pump fake and then throw it to the cutoff man, as opposed to throwing it right past your second baseman. Jump and dive assistance, I would highly recommend you keep this off. Basically, this is letting the computer determine whether your player jumps or dives at a ball. I've never seen this happen, but just to give you guys an example, if you're trying to rob a home run, you're essentially letting the computer determine whether it dives straight into the wall or tries to actually rob the home run. You leave this off, it's literally as simple as pressing R1 to jump, pressing on the trigger to dive. No brainer. Auto infield jump and dive reaction I would leave on, because if there's a hard hit ball anywhere in the infield that you have zero time to react to, your players are automatically going to do it for you. I mean, it'll get you a lot of outs by leaving this on. It truly will. Auto fielding and auto throwing, brother, turn this off. Vibration I would recommend turning off. You don't want your hands distracted from your brain. That's not calm. Tutorial tips off. I got y'all. Difficulty settings don't really matter because this only affects your offline gameplay. Decisions, auto bullpen warm up. Leave this on. This will allow your pitchers to come in warm without having to warm them up. They changed this last year. Great change. Was kind of confused on how it worked at first, but it literally just allows you to put any pitcher in that you want at any time in the game, and they are going to be warmed up. Auto defensive shift off. If you're pitching against Kyle Schwarber, he's going to have a heavy right field pull in real life. This isn't real life. This is a video game. Essentially, instead of screwing yourself out of the entire left side of the field, this will leave your players where they're supposed to be in case you throw a pitch and the dude online is late on that baseball and he hits it straight to left field, and Kyle Schwarber with 4 speed gets a triple out of it because you have a defensive shift on. Horrible. Rules don't matter. Moving on to camera. Hitting view. I highly recommend you get used to strike zone. It is the best hitting view in the game, along with strike zone high. I flip-flop between those two, but truly there's no comparison. Hitting depth of field. They blessed us with this setting. I'm not going to lie, it is amazing. Essentially what it does is blurs out the background. So like the batter's eye just isn't a factor anymore. You can play at any field and you can see and track the ball well. Insane. You're not going to have any more of that, online cheese where somebody you're playing against picks a specific time of day at a specific field, so the background's white when you're trying to hit the ball. It completely voids that because now you are solely focused on the baseball. In play view, I recommend dynamic because this allows you to see like truthfully where your ball is going, whether it's going to drop or not, to know whether to send your other base runners. Pitching view, this is really tailored to your liking. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be strike zone 3. You don't need to be strike zone. It doesn't need to be behind the plate at all. You can use behind the pitcher view. It's just really whatever you like. I use strike zone 3 in order to get more mental reps from seeing baseballs come behind the plate. Fielding view, I recommend high. This is going to, allow you to see the entire field when you're going to field the ball. Hard to tell on dynamic when you're fielding where the ball is truthfully going, but on high, it's very easy to tell. Axis, if you put on any type of inverted camera, you're actually a psychopath. Moving on to display. This setting right here, ambush hitting controls. You are now able to turn it off, and I highly recommend doing so because it has been speculated since the game came out. I don't know confirmed, but I know for sure speculated that having these controls on can lower your frame rate. And to be competitive at this game, at a game that requires extremely fast reaction time, lowering your frame rate is not going to do so well for you. Now, if you are an ambush user, I am pretty positive that this doesn't disable your ambush hitting controls. It just removes, the fact that it says right stick to the left and right stick to the right under your strike zone while you're hitting. You can still push your right stick to the left or your right stick to the right to choose which side of the zone you want to ambush. Hitting info, I recommend just keeping it to additional info only. This isn't a setting that's a game changer whatsoever. Pitch history, again, not a setting that's a game changer. They did add the ability to have custom pitch history. So if you are playing someone that you can't really pick up on their patterns, you can tailor this to your liking and you can see, exactly what they're throwing a lot. It can be beneficial, but like I said, not a game changer. Pitch info, I recommend on pitch info only. Pitch input feedback, you absolutely want to keep this on because this allows you to know where you went wrong. Whether you were late, whether you had good timing and your pitch just missed. It's more of like a peace of mind thing. Pitch history for pitching, it's essentially the same thing as pitch history for hitting, except it is showing what you were throwing a lot. Under the fielding settings in display, I recommend keeping your reaction display on, just so you know. Let's say you have Yordan Alvarez in left field and you see that the dude isn't moving until 5 seconds after the ball's hit. It lets you know how fast his jump is. So you can tell whether you want to leave him out there or, maybe replace him. Now, off the wall rip, this is kind of a huge thing. basically, if your opponent hits a shot to the wall and you're not exactly sure which direction that ball is going to be going off the wall, having this on will give you the information and tell you which direction the ball is going off the wall. None of the other settings in display really matter. So, I mean, you can look through them, tailor them to your liking, but they're essentially none of them matter at all competitively. Presentation mode. If you're offline grinding, the only thing I recommend to change in here is putting your presentation mode on fast play. This will just cut out a bunch of the presentation bullcrap that wants to make it look like a real game. If you're trying to grind as efficient as possible, put this on fast play. And if you're really trying to be as efficient as possible, turn off batter walk up and turn off your no doubt home run. I know I can't turn it off because it's a fun addition to the game. I love watching my player throw his bat 30 feet in the air on a no doubter. That's great. Moving into audio. There are some big things in here. Crank that master volume up. You want to be fully immersed into the game. How are you ever going to get good at the game if you're not inside it? You know what I mean? We covered this. Horrible. PitchCom volume. You don't even have it on. Might as well put it at 0. Commentary volume. You don't want Kirk Herbstreit ranting about Patrick Mahomes the whole game in your ear. That's just going to distract you from becoming a beast. Turn that off. Crowd volume. I like a little bit of crowd noise. Hypes me up a little bit sometimes. Sound effects volume. Crank that up. Crank that up. You hit a puff it, you want to hear that thing. It's the most beautiful sound in all of video games. Menu sound effects. Who cares? Why is this a setting? Leave it default, I guess. Soundtrack music volume. Not really my forte of music, so can't have it on YouTube for copyright reasons. So I just turn that off. PA volume. I don't know why. Like you don't need this at all, but I kind of like hearing it. PA sound effects. You really don't need this at all. These things are loud. They're annoying. I have them on a little bit just so I can hear, what my opponent's got going on. Give me a little bit of fuel to my fire. PA music volume off. Stupid. Fan yells volume. Fan yells volume. Do yourself a favor right now and turn this off. All the fans do is and whine and complain. I'm dead serious. It's like you're getting heckled in a video game. You want to keep that mental clear. Turn that off. Player coach yells volume. Doesn't matter. Umpire volume. Don't turn it off, but you don't need it all the way up. Accessibility. It's just literally everything pretty much we've already covered. Now, be sure to take the information from this video. You don't need to copy my settings exactly, but these are strictly just my recommendations. This is what I use. I like to consider myself, an above average player at the game. I don't think I'm the best, but I know I'm not the worst. I didn't play a whole lot of ranked last year, but just to give you guys some insight, my ranked record was 22-3. So, at least I feel like you can pull a little bit of information of me and feel like I'm a somewhat credible source. So be sure to utilize this information. If you want to copy my settings exactly, great. I'm not going to harp on you for it. And again, if you guys enjoyed this video and you feel like it helped you out, whatsoever, leave a comment, maybe a like, maybe subscribe. If you like the way I do things, just an idea, but seriously, leave a comment. I like seeing your guys' feedback. It helps me tailor what I make to help you guys more or to entertain you guys more. Yeah, but that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys for sticking around to the end. Love you guys.